Let me show you exactly where buyers decide to skip your listing. Realtors think buyers skip their listings because of price, or photos, or the market. But that's not the case. Buyers don't skip listings because they don't like them. They skip listings because something feels off. And the crazy part is, they usually can't explain why. They don't message you. They don't ask questions. They don't book a showing. They just move on. Have you ever scrolled through listings and done that yourself? You see something, pause for a second, and then just keep scrolling. Not because it's bad, but just because something didn't click with you. That's exactly what's happening to your listings. And if you've ever had a property getting views but no real traction, well, that's not rejection. That's hesitation. This is the moment where interest turns into hesitation. There's a gap between interest and action. I call this the buyer confidence gap. Buyers don't move forward until they feel confident. Not interested, not curious, but confident. And confidence doesn't come from more features. It comes from clarity. There's research in behavioral economics that shows when people feel uncertainty, they automatically perceive more risk. And when risk goes up, action goes down. Now, here's what that looks like in real life. A buyer is looking at your listing. They like the kitchen. They like the photos. But then a thought pops up. Wait, where's the parking? And that one question, it slows everything down. And I'll show you exactly how to remove that in a second. You know, if a buyer can't picture their life here in 5 seconds, you've already lost them. The first question every buyer is asking is, what will this feel like to live here? This is emotional. People decide based on feeling. This happens before logic, and before pricing. There's research in neuroscience showing that when people imagine themselves in a space, their brain activates like they're actually there. That's called mental simulation. So when buyers scroll, they're not just looking, they're imagining, where would I drink my coffee? Where would I sit at night? Does this feel comfortable? And here's where most listings fail. Photos show the home, but they don't help the buyer experience it. We had a listing like this, a great property, clean, well priced, but the photos were dark. The angles were tight. Honestly, you couldn't tell how the living room connected to the kitchen, and buyers were skipping it. Not because it was bad, but because it felt unclear. Once we fixed the lighting, widened the angles, and showed the flow, showings picked up within a week. Here we are with question number 2. What problems will I run into? This is where buyers start looking for reasons not to choose your listing. Once the buyer feels something, their brain switches into protection mode. They're asking, what could go wrong here? Not directly, but sort of subconsciously. They're scanning for friction. Do I have private parking? Where are the bedrooms positioned? Is this near a busy road? Why didn't they show the bathroom? And here's the problem. If your listing doesn't answer these, then you're losing your buyer. The buyer doesn't assume it's fine. They assume the worst. That's negativity bias. Psychology shows that negative possibilities weigh more than positive ones. We had a buyer once who loved a property. Perfect location, perfect layout. But they weren't sure where guests would park. That was it. One small unknown. They passed on the deal because in their mind, it turned into parking might be a nightmare. And now the listing felt risky. Not because it was, but because it wasn't clear. The best listings remove doubt before it appears. They say, private driveway fits 2 cars. Street parking available directly in front. Second bedroom is on the lower level. Clarity removes friction. And friction is what slows decisions. And for the third one, is this worth it? This is the point where buyers either justify the price or walk away. Once a buyer feels good and doesn't see major risks, there's one final filter. Is this worth it? This is where logic steps in. Because buyers don't decide with logic, they justify it. If they can't justify the price, they won't move forward. Even if they love the property, there's a concept called anchoring. People judge value based on what they're given. If your listing doesn't clearly show why it's worth the price, the buyer creates their own reference point, and it's usually lower. We've seen this happen with identical homes. Same layout, same location, same price. One feels like a great deal. The other feels expensive. Why? One explains the value clearly. The other doesn't. If the buyer has to think, why is this price like this? You've already lost momentum. This is the mistake almost every realtor makes. The worst part is they don't even realize it. Realtors focus on features, bedrooms, bathrooms, square footage, but just the features don't drive decisions. Clarity does. There's something called cognitive load. When people are given too much unstructured information, they shut down. So when your listing throws everything at the buyer without answering their real questions, it creates friction. You didn't lose the buyer because your listing was bad. You lost them because it made them think too much. Now here's how you fix all of this. You don't need a better home. Actually, you need clarity. So here's the system. Step 1, create the feeling. Show lifestyle. Show flow. Make it easy to imagine living there. Step 2, remove friction. Tell them about the parking. Explain the layout. Address potential concerns up front. Step 3, clarify value. Make it obvious why the price makes sense. The best listings don't just show the home, they guide the decision. See, every single buyer goes through this exact process. Every buyer is asking the same 3 questions. What does this feel like? What could go wrong? Is this worth it? If your listing answers all 3, then buyers move forward. If it doesn't, they move on. It's not because they didn't like the property, but because they didn't feel confident enough to act on it. And once you understand that, you stop trying to make better listings and you start creating better decisions. You're not losing buyers because your listing is bad. I'm telling you, you're losing them because it doesn't give them enough confidence to act. I'm Derek Gizriel, owner of Level Up Stays. And if you're a realtor and your listings are getting views but no offers, watch this video again and fix just one of these 3 things. You'll see the difference immediately. Like and subscribe. Let me know in the comments what other topics you want me to cover. I hope you enjoyed the video and learned something from it. I'll see you in the next one.